It's Monday, February 6th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including the deaths of 2 women early this morning in a crash on Route 15. Later in the show, Frank Granito will give us a look at the forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and Donald Eng will join us later to take a look back on this day in history. Also, today marks the start of our month-long partnership with Silver Hill Hospital. We'll be featuring an interview with an expert on the importance of eating disorder early interventions. But first, on to today's news. 2 women were killed after one of them was driving the wrong way on Route 15 in New Haven on Monday morning. State police say around 1 in the morning, 27-year-old Erica Farland of Ossining, New York, was driving her Subaru northbound on the southbound side when her car collided with an Audi driven by 53-year-old Andrea Rossi of Long Island City, New York. Both drivers were seriously injured in the crash and transported by ambulance to Yale New Haven Hospital. Both women later died from their injuries. That accident remains under investigation. And a man rescued a child who fell through the ice in Milford Sunday, and then local police pulled the man to safety. Milford firefighters said they received a 911 call shortly after 4 in the afternoon, reporting 2 people had fallen through the ice at Mondo Ponds. That's a nature preserve behind John F. Kennedy School between West and Naugatuck Avenues. A group of children were playing along the edge of the pond when one child decided to venture out onto the ice, according to Fire Battalion Chief Anthony Fabrizi. The child fell through the ice and was unable to get out of the water. A man who was in the area saw what happened and walked out onto the ice to help the child. He also fell through but managed to lift the child onto an ice shelf. The child was then able to crawl back to the safety of solid ground. Milford police arrived and deployed a life safety ring to the man, who was then pulled to the edge of the pond. Firefighters arrived and quickly treated both patients for cold water exposure. The child was taken to Yale New Haven Hospital and the adult was taken to Bridgeport Hospital. And in other news, Connecticut State Police have arrested one person following a Saturday afternoon protest in New Haven where over 100 people blocked traffic on Route 34, delaying a critically ill patient from getting to the hospital. This happened approximately 4:30 in the afternoon when troopers responded to the I-95 northbound exit 47 ramp, Route 34 westbound in New Haven, for approximately 100 to 200 protesters that were blocking the highway. Troopers responded to the area with riot gear and pepper spray. The protesters were in the process of being cleared from the highway, but not before police say they obstructed an ambulance carrying a critically ill patient. Due to the delay, ambulance personnel were required to perform an emergency medical procedure in the ambulance instead of at the hospital. Once cleared from the area, police say protesters continued to block other streets around New Haven. Police later located the leader of the protest, 66-year-old Norman Clement of New Haven, and charged him with inciting a riot, among other charges. And a man who lost control of his vehicle on I-95 in Milford Saturday morning has died, according to local firefighters. The man has since been identified as Ricardo Fagu Jr. of Bridgeport. According to Fire Battalion Chief Anthony Fabrizi, the accident occurred around 5:30 in the morning on the southbound side of I-95 at the exit 36 off-ramp. Milford firefighters arrived on scene to find the passenger that appeared to have rolled over multiple times, striking a tree off the side of the exit ramp. The driver was found unresponsive inside the vehicle, which was heavily damaged. He was treated at the scene and transported to the hospital, where he later died. According to officials, there were no other passengers in the vehicle at the time of that incident. And Wilton police have arrested a Wilton High School student in relation to threats made at the school last month. 18-year-old Victoria Flowers surrendered at the Wilton Police Department on Friday, February 3rd, where she was processed and charged with breach of peace in the 2nd degree and threatening in the 2nd degree. Police began their investigation back on January 26th. While the investigation was underway, police increased their presence at the high school campus, and the student in question was removed from the school. Based on their investigation, police determined probable cause existed to arrest Flowers. Police are not releasing any further details about the nature of that threat, saying that although there were minors involved as witnesses, Flowers was the only suspect. And a Fairfield child was injured after being hit by a car in a school parking lot Saturday afternoon, according to police. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that 76-year-old Gary Patmasil of Norwalk was driving in the Tomlinson Middle School parking lot when he hit the child with his front left fender. The child's mother called 911 immediately, and the child was taken to Bridgeport Hospital with injuries. The child was in stable condition Saturday and undergoing further testing, according to police. The Fairfield Police Crash Reconstruction Unit is investigating the collision. And the contractor hired to clean up a 1,700-gallon oil spill in Monroe on Jund Road expects cleanup to wrap this week. That accident occurred on the northern end of Judd Road in Monroe, just off Hattertown Road near the eastern border. That truck driver swerved off of the road and overturned while trying to avoid hitting a deer, police said. Complicating matters was the fact that the accident happened near a wetlands area. Officials say none of the oil entered those wetlands, though Judd Road was closed to traffic all last week and is expected to remain closed until the middle of this week. The Easton Courier spoke to a DEP official on the cleanup site. Check it out.
My name is Joseph Palmieri. I'm the president of Connecticut Tank Removal. This time we're still remediating the soil from the spill that occurred on Monday. Approximately 1,700 gallons was released from the fuel oil truck. We are currently digging out all the impacted soils and recovering groundwater that has been impacted. We have it contained to the area, and it looks like we'll be wrapping it up within the next few days. So this down here shows the area that we've excavated. As you pan over, you can see the road, how we came in underneath the road and took out the soil.
More on that story at eastoncourier.com. But let's switch gears, throw it over to Frank Granito now for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Nice outside, a lot of sunshine. It'll be mostly sunny skies today with a high of 40 degrees. We'll see sunshine carry on through the afternoon before increasing cloud cover later this evening, as we could see some overnight showers closer to dawn and into tomorrow morning. Overcast through the day on Tuesday with temperatures in the low to mid 40s. Early morning showers will continue on and off throughout the afternoon. Foggy around Fairfield County overnight on Tuesday. We could see a passing shower or two that'll carry into Wednesday morning. And a little bit of everything in store for us on Wednesday. Morning showers will break for a partly sunny and mild afternoon with a high of 55 degrees. Breezy out with wind gusts between 20 to 25 miles per hour. And then we'll see temperatures falling down into the mid-20s during the late evening. Could see some overnight snowfall and freezing conditions before Thursday morning. So in the middle of the week, looking like it's going to be just a little bit tougher for us, Kate.
All right, keep an eye out for that. Well, we are going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Lang takes a look back on this day in history. Frank has your Nutmeg Sports update, and we have more news, including Danbury's mayor getting in some trouble for a Super Bowl tweet. More on that after this.
It's all about meeting goals this year, and Trinity CrossFit of Ridgefield has experienced trainers, top-of-the-line equipment, and a newly renovated space to help get you there. Offering more classes per day than any other CrossFit gyms in the area, we cater to all fitness levels. Our coaches have a combined 10 years of experience in CrossFit, and as competitors themselves, Trinity coaches can get you ready for competition in 2017. Visit our convenient location on Route 7, Danbury Road, or find out more at trinitycrossfit.com.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Hom has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at StonesThrowCT.com. At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Throughout National Eating Disorder Awareness Month in February, the HAN Network and Silver Hill Hospital are working together to raise awareness. Every Monday this month will feature in-depth discussions with experts at Silver Hill on a number of pertinent topics and treatment information, including early intervention, importance of nutrition, eating disorders in the LGBTQ community, and the neurobiology of disordered eating and body image. Watch those interviews during HAN's Coffee Break News Show Mondays at 11 and on demand at han.network. We're back on this February 6th edition of Your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng.
Well, Kate, today we had the final message from a legend to folks in Connecticut, but first we're going to go to 1778. The Treaty of Alliance and Amity and Commerce signed in Paris between the United States and France, signaling official recognition of the new republic. How much did this treaty help? Well, believe it or not, George Washington commanded 15,000 men at Yorktown. 2 out of every 3 were French, 6 out of every 7 if you count the French fleet that also participated in the siege. To 1820, 86 freeborn Americans of African descent depart New York to start a settlement in present-day Liberia. It was believed that the freeborn blacks would have a better chance to live freely if they were repatriated to Western Africa. 13,000 would eventually settle in the area. Liberia declared its independence in 1847 with a government modeled on the U.S. system. It is the oldest republic in Africa. 1922, the Washington Naval Treaty is signed, limiting the naval armaments of the United States, Britain, Japan, France, and Italy. The treaty had a profound impact in Japan, where it was viewed as being unfair because it limited Japan to a navy 3/5 the size of the U.S. and Britain. Admiral Hirohiko Yamamoto thought it benefited Japan, though, because the U.S. could undoubtedly outbuild Japan by more than a 5-3 margin, and by limiting the size of the U.S. Navy, which had 2 oceans to defend, the U.S. would therefore be vulnerable to a swift, decisive attack at the outset of hostilities. Finally, now we go to 1993 for this.
School children in some places still want to shun someone who has AIDS or is HIV positive. I hope the forum addresses those common everyday problems, because there's no truth to that and no need for anyone to have to undergo that. Again, thanks for your patience. I am sorry I could not be there in person, but I hope this tape and my message in a small way makes up for my lack of being there in person. Thank you and good luck.
That was tennis champion and social activist Arthur Ashe's message to the Connecticut Forum on AIDS, which took place on this day in 1993. It was actually recorded 2 days earlier. Ashe had planned to attend the forum, but had recorded this message because his body had reacted poorly to a new treatment. Ashe would die of AIDS-related pneumonia just a few hours before the Connecticut Forum began. 4 years later, the United States Tennis Association would open Arthur Ashe Stadium, the home of the U.S. Open. That is your look back in history for today, February 6th, and I'm Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, Danbury's mayor is facing a lot of anger on social media after making a Super Bowl promise he didn't keep. Mayor Mark Boughton tweeted last night that if the Patriots won the Super Bowl, he would ensure that school was closed on Monday. Well, when the Patriots won in overtime, Boughton quickly backed away from that promise, jokingly claiming that his account was hacked by Russia. When one Twitter user said the broken promise would likely affect Boughton's bid for governor, the mayor agreed that was probably the case. But let's throw it over to someone who didn't make any Super Bowl promises he didn't keep, Frank Granito.
No Super Bowl promises I didn't keep. Congratulations to the New England Patriots on winning the big game, but we will leave that to ESPN to break down. Let's look locally, though. We've got our Athlete of the Week winners for Week 4 in the FCAC. Christian Compolotero of the Stanford West Hill ice hockey team racked up 39 saves, earning a shutout in Stanford's 3-0 win over St. Joe's last Saturday. His first victory of the season over a D1 opponent for Stanford West Hill, who has won 5 of their last 6. And Taylor Guarino of the Fairfield girls co-op team scored a power play goal 29 seconds into overtime, giving Fairfield their first ever win over the New Canaan Rams. Fairfield trailed 2-0 in the second period, scoring 3 unanswered to get that win. Guarino fired her shot through traffic early in overtime and found the net. So congratulations to both Taylor and Christian. We will have our Week 5 nominees for you this afternoon on Nutmeg Sports. Obviously, a lot going on in the conference with championship season starting on Thursday night. Congratulations to the Danbury boys and girls indoor track teams as they secured the FCX championship for the indoor track and field. It was the 4th in a row for the boys team and the 2nd consecutive for the girls of Danbury. And the weekend would only get sweeter for the Hatters. The Danbury Hatters also taking home the cheerleading championship, knocking off 2-time defending champion Fairfield Ludlow. Ludlow, though, wouldn't go home empty-handed. They did take 1st and 2nd in the partner stunts portion of the competition. And a couple of local scores. You had New Canaan boys hockey with a big 4-1 win over rival Darien. New Canaan swimming, now the only remaining undefeated program in the conference. They defeated Greenwich 97-89. Big win for Danbury Wrestling. They played number 2 New Milford on Saturday. The Hatters continuing to dominate, knocking off the 3rd team in the top 10 in as many weeks, 42-16. And a special congratulations, Connor Harkins racking up his 1,000th career point Friday night against West Hill. Great job, Connor. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. That will do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Tune in at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We've got plenty of highlights and all the coverage on these events for you then. Kate, back to you.
Thanks so much, Frank. Well, we are going to step out for a break. And when we come back, we hear from Dr. Aaron Clyfield of Silver Hill Hospital about eating disorder intervention. That coming up on your coffee break after this.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Want to reach new heights in your fitness and health goals? Find what you're looking for at Elevation Spin, Train, and TRX in Georgetown, Connecticut. Elevation Spin gives you purposeful spinning workouts inspired by the road. We encourage monitoring of heart rate and energy zones. Elevation also offers customized personal training with dedicated professionals passionate about helping you reach your goals. And let us motivate you to reach greater performance and functionality with TRX suspension training, using your own body weight for an incredible dynamic workout. Located at 4 Old Mill Road in Georgetown, call Elevation at 203-544-9503 or visit elevationspintraintrx.com for more.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Start Something New sales event, now through January 31st.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
I'm Kate Czaplinski for the HAN Network, and February is National Eating Disorder Awareness Month. And we're at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan talking with experts about a number of pertinent topics around eating disorders and treatment. And I'm joined today by Dr. Erin Clyfield, who is the director of the Eating Disorders Program here at Silver Hill. Doctor, so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Now, let's talk first about the importance of early intervention. Why is it so important?
Very good question. So, let me start by saying that there is an increasing literature, treatment outcome data on the importance of early intervention. There's treatment outcomes showing that when eating disorders are treated within the first 3 years of onset of the eating disorder, that the outcome is much stronger, that the rate of recovery is stronger, the maintenance of the success is longer. So the prognosis changes greatly when we intervene early on. In contrast, when eating disorders are left and go untreated, they become a lot more intractable. And if we think about it as sort of brain chemistry, the longer habit patterns go on, the more entrenched it becomes in the neural pathways. I like to think of it as a marble going down a hill. And the longer, the more it goes down that hill, the more entrenched that groove becomes, the more ingrained the habit patterns become, both behaviorally as well as the neurochemical. And beliefs become more fixed and more entrenched over time. And also, eating disorders, unlike other psychiatric problems, have medical consequences. And those medical consequences become more severe over time. So the longer it goes untreated, the medical complications get worse, the malnourishment and the effects on the brain get stronger, and the habit patterns become more fixed and entrenched. The other thing to keep in mind is that eating disorders are 12 times, they're associated with the greatest mortality. They're 12 times more likely than average to be associated with death. And amongst adolescents, it is the third most chronic disorder. So these go on and on. If untreated, they will persist. Very virulent disorders.
So what can family and friends do to be proactive with a loved one that they suspect has an eating disorder?
So, given that for many people, an eating disorder is what we call egosyntonic. It serves a purpose for them. It has an adaptive function, so they don't want to give it up. So family members need to really stay the course with people. They need to not back down. People will often deny they have it. They'll try to conceal it. They won't necessarily be, upfront, and they'll be very resistant to receiving help, which is quite a challenge for family members. So I would say that it would help for them to be educated, to do some reading, to understand what they're up against, and to really push for treatment, to not let the denial and the anger, and also they will minimize and make excuses in a way, justifications, I'm not hungry, all kinds of things, to not buy into those. Stay proactive by getting treatment, seeking out the help of professionals. This is not an easy disease. And even when people are motivated and willing, it's still a tough battle. So when you've got the resistance in the beginning, don't go it alone. Get the support. There's websites and literature. There's so much information out there now. Avail yourself of the information and continue to intervene and don't back down.
Now, you mentioned adolescence earlier. Is that when we're seeing a lot of these eating disorders start?
Absolutely. It's the highest time for eating disorders to emerge. You know, if you think about it, I mean, it's when the body is going through so many changes, and identity and social pressures, and you know, people in adolescence are trying to figure out who they are, and they're under so much pressure to perform. A lot of the people with eating disorders are very perfectionistic, they're high achieving, very hard on themselves. And so when they have all those demands going on and are very hard on themselves, you know, they look often to body image as a way of defining themselves. And so they look to that as the way to elevate self-esteem, to be approved of by peers. You know, peer approval is so significant at that time. And you know, oftentimes dieting and body image, it spreads like a contagion, like wildfire. So people are very susceptible. It's a very vulnerable age, both emotionally, with identity, and biologically. All kinds of hormonal changes and physical changes. It's also when the body is increasing in adipose and fat stores. Many adolescents will say, I feel like I was betrayed by my body at a time when body image is more important to them than ever.
And now let's talk about screenings in education. How can those lead to early intervention?
Well, again, you know, because people will try to conceal and hide, it really helps when people are aware of the signs and symptoms, when they're aware of what to be looking for. If a person leaves the dinner table every night, goes to the bathroom and comes back with bloodshot eyes, if every morning they're saying, oh, I'm really not hungry, and you know, they start to restrict carbohydrates at every meal. I mean, all the little signs, and the more that people are aware of those signs, the more they can intervene and not take no for an answer so readily. So these kinds of things can help, again, with early intervention. Not be put off, not just think this is just an adolescent phase they're going through, but to really take it seriously.
Now let's talk a little bit about stigma. We are seeing, mental health, addiction, the stigmas change a bit. But when it comes to eating disorders, something that affects the way somebody looks, is there still stigma around that?
Very much so, and many myths and misconceptions, like, it's about vanity, or, if she really wanted to, she could, that it's a willful act. Eating disorders are not a choice. It is not the person's fault. And we often also are thinking about eating disorders as brain disorders, because once there's a certain sequelae of consequences from malnourishment, it's almost as though the person has no choice. They become increasingly compulsive, increasingly obsessed. And so they really are fighting against themselves. They even when they really want it and they know what they're losing and missing out on in life, it's still a huge challenge. So there are many myths and misconceptions where they are being blamed for their own struggle. And so, also keeping in mind how shame-based it is. People, as much as it's what we call egocentric, that they want it, they are also very ashamed of their behaviors at the same time. So the more that we as a society understand what these people are going through, the pain they're in, the emotional suffering, the more we can help them rather than blame them and judge them, which will only lead for them to feel more ashamed and want to hide and conceal and lie about what they're going through. And then we can't help them.
Dr. Kleifeld, this has been an amazing discussion. So much good information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
All right, and if you want to find out more about our month-long partnership with Silver Hill Hospital, visit our website, han.network. Thanks so much to Dr. Erin Kleifeld for talking with us. Now, we're going to be featuring interviews with experts at Silver Hill Hospital all month long on eating disorder awareness. So every Monday on Coffee Break at 11, you can catch one of those interviews this month. We are going to wrap things up here, but coming up at 12:30, HAN Arts and Leisure live in the studio, 2 o'clock Nutmeg Sports, and we'll see you for your coffee break tomorrow at 11. Have a great day.